Tennessee started their spring practice this past week, Mike. That can only mean one thing. Obviously, football's just right around the corner. I know, the March Madness tournament's hot and heavy and everything like that, but let's take a step away from all that. Watching all the games and everything, and just kind of focus on a little bit of Tennessee football talk since we haven't talked about that in a long time. Like I said, man, when spring practice rolls around, that's how you know it's real. That's how you know it's getting ready to happen. Like I said, just right around the corner. I mean, in April, actually April 11th, Tennessee will have the orange and white game at Neyland Stadium. And after that, man, it just seems like everything kind of gets rolling. And the season will be here before you know it. But
Oh yeah.
as far as spring practice goes, Mike, obviously there's not too much to report about because they do keep everything kind of closed off as far as like video footage and things of that nature. But there are some videos on YouTube of Brandon or phase on Brandon and George McIntyre kind of throwing some routes. Nothing crazy. You can tell that it's just simple, mechanical, fundamental footwork and throwing motions for quarterbacks. But what's your initial thoughts on it, Mike? I mean, just kind of not necessarily off of what you've seen, but just how do you feel about Tennessee going into this spring practice, and what do you hope they can gain as a team? I guess coming out of it, going into the season.
Yeah, obviously there's not a whole lot to really go by in the little clips that we've seen on spring practice or anything. So I'm definitely not
Right.
just going to get real hyped up about anything that's happened so far because it's spring practice, so you get to see
Right.
kind of see the players in action a little bit, getting real basic stuff, kind of getting themselves ready for the off, and it's not off season anymore. Now we're getting into spring practice, so kind of get
Right.
themselves ready, and this is just the beginning part of that. Um, Man, I will say one thing I noticed though with Faison Brandon, I feel like he doesn't look much like a high schooler, man. Like a lot of guys I'm used to seeing coming out of high school, even with Nico, we've seen it. And really, even with George McIntyre, right? I know he's not just right out of high school, but last year he was a freshman, so he's pretty young still, and you can tell like they're just a lot smaller build, just I don't know,
Yep.
kind of look like they were a high school athlete a couple of years ago, or like with
Yeah.
Faison Brandon, I will say I did notice that, man. Just kind of off looking at the mechanics and stuff that you could tell. That the footwork and everything, it's a little hard to tell still. There wasn't a whole lot to go by, but I will say that just seeing him there, he definitely doesn't. He looks like a college built quarterback.
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's been hopeful. There's a part of me kind of it's like you want to say you hope the player can sit behind someone for a year, but in the world of college football we live in, um, I really would not be upset, man, if he comes in and wins the spot and lives up to the hype of a five star. He was a 5 star, I guess now he's a 4 star, but I want to call him a
Right.
5 star. Um, and it would just be nice to see a young quarterback that goes ahead and gets his start this year, and you still got him next year. You know what I mean? You
Right.
still got some time with him, as long as it doesn't hit the transfer portal or something. But as far
Right.
as you ain't got to worry about him leaving to go to the NFL or anything, um, so it would be nice to have somebody like that, young, and have a quarterback we could have for a couple of years, man. Or I guess 3 years. I think they have to at least spend is it 2 or 3 years before they can go to the draft?
I think it's three, but don't quote me on
Three.
that. I mean,
Yeah. I
if
think they
you
do
if
have
you
to.
read if you read shirt, it might change something. I really don't
Yeah.
know, Mike.
Yeah. So, but regardless, it would be nice to see, man. Obviously seeing all three quarterbacks have some drills there, passing drills and stuff, and
Yep.
just their basic stuff, man. I mean, working on footwork, working on the I guess it would be considered for a lot of people the boring part of practice right now. But that's where
Yeah.
your fine tuning and your mechanics come in. That's going to translate later into the season when the real games start. So
Yep.
um, yeah, and it is exciting just to see. Some people be like, well, it's still a long ways away, um, but I think it's exciting to see spring ball going on, man. See a little spring practice. That means we're officially out of that off season. And there's gonna be a little bit of football stuff going on for the, even through the summer and everything. We'll kind of go through a dead point with sports because we won't have, after this March Madness tournament and stuff, and after I guess you got the NBA playoffs and everything, and baseball. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not hating on any sports, but as I tend to watch football and basketball, so I definitely will be
right,
in a little bit of a dead zone there for a little bit. But this is a little stuff that we can, you know, keep up with, talk about. It's good to talk about Tennessee football, man, because like you said, we haven't got to talk about it for a little while. Um, but yeah, what do you think on the little bit you was able to see the quarterback situation? I did see Staley catching a pass there, and I really do just think he's going to have a big year, man. I think he proved a lot last year of how talented he is.
yeah,
And I think he'll honestly, and I'll just as of right now, I feel like he's going to have a bigger year than Matthews. Um,
right.
I think he'll
There
be
you
the
go.
number one go-to guy.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that works out. I mean, the thing about this spring practice, man, is obviously there's a lot to be excited about. I mean, you've got a quarterback battle. We're going to get to see somebody, new there at that starting position, just like we have the past few seasons. Seems like, we've had a different quarterback now for the past 5 or 6 years. This is Josh Heupel's sixth year, going into his sixth year as the head coach of Tennessee. And we've said it time and time again on this podcast, man. It's really no question about what Josh Heupel's done for this program. The heights that he's brought us
Yeah,
to, and other fan bases may look at that statement and laugh or whatever you want to do, but I mean, when you come from the depths that we were at as a program and all the stuff that previous coaches did as far as like NCAA violations and getting scholarships stripped away from us and things of that nature. Josh Heupel has come in within the 5 years that he's been with us and really just turned this program around a complete 180, man. And so kudos to Josh Heupel. Um, Obviously, that's one aspect of it being exciting is we still have the same coach. You see a lot of coaching changes year after year in college football. I think a lot of the universities and programs get super impatient when it comes to
yeah,
winning big time games, big time championships, things like that. So, and then like I said, the quarterback battle, Mike, you and I, well, we actually saw each other this week, and we kind of watched some of the YouTube footage that is out there for spring practice. Watching George McIntyre throw the ball, watching Faison Brandon throw the ball, and it's a noticeable difference stature wise and physique wise when you look at the two quarterbacks. George McIntyre has the height on him a little bit. He's 6'6", 201, skinny as a rail. I'm not sure if it's factually true, but just visually and from what I can remember, McIntyre looks skinnier and more slender than even Nico looked when Nico came on the scene, and I thought Nico looked like a skeleton.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think McIntyre has a lot of weight to gain, a lot of muscle to gain, and he really needs to work on his physique as far as just getting a little bit bulkier for SEC play. But
yeah,
Faison Brandon, man, complete opposite in my opinion. He's 6'4", 215. He already looks like a D1 college quarterback in my opinion,
yeah,
and just far as his physique. Watching both of them throw, like we said to start this thing out with, you can't really tell from the videos that are out there. I mean, they're just doing simple stuff. Looks like
yeah,
really just arm drills to warm up their arms and stuff. So we'll find out more about all that when the time comes. But
yeah,
you take all the stuff that's exciting about it, the returning players, with Matthews and the running game that we have and
uh-huh,
things of that nature, the wide receivers. Ethan Davis at tight end, David Sanders Jr. as well at tackle. I mean, just a good offensive line as well. Those are things to be super excited about, Mike. But on the flip side of that, there are also things that we can be excited about, but the unknown almost outweighs the excitement when it comes to the defense. complete overhaul as far as coaching staff and things like that. Lost a lot of good players defensively. And then total roster wise, I'm not sure if you saw this statistic, Mike, but we have 46 new players on the team total. 46 new
Crazy, man.
players. Yeah, 20 new transfer portal additions. So the other 26 guys are, just high school recruits, things of that nature. But I mean, we're going to be a completely different team. I mean, we're going to have to take the time during this off season and early in the season to kind of learn the players' names. We're going to see new players emerge that we didn't hear about last year. They weren't even on the team last year. Stuff like
Yeah,
that can either go one of two ways, Mike, and you know this. Can either go really good or really bad. So, but
yeah,
it's still exciting, right? I mean,
yeah,
the unknown can be exciting.
yeah. Because I mean, you don't know exactly what could happen out of it. Like you said, with that many new players on a roster, um, this is going to be a total different team than last year, man. And we know what
Right.
last year was. So,
Right.
um, and so it could be terrible and not go well, not mesh, or you could have a total different team out there that exceeds expectations right now. I feel like right now the unknown
Yep.
there's not a lot of high expectations, so you may have a legit football team step on the field, you know come late August, early September, when it uh, when it gets started, and that's the exciting part because, like you said, I'm okay with the unknown right now, man, and again, it's because I know what. Not that it was so terrible last year, but there was a lot of things that were disappointing, and so I think the
Right.
unknown's not necessarily a bad thing in this case. I think roster changes and things like that is not a bad thing. Um,
Yep.
in this case. And the ones we do have returning are some pretty key players to this offense returning.
Yep.
That there's definitely some excitement about. And defensively, man, we were terrible last year. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there'll be a couple returning defensive players I'm excited that's going to be back. But for the most part, man, I welcome the new defensive players, the transfers. Welcome with open arms, man. I hope they, you know,
Oh yeah.
I don't know that could get much worse than how last year did, to be honest. I mean, I
That's
guess it
fair.
could. We might not get the pressure. We did have good pressure on QB, so maybe it could get a little worse, I guess. But
Yep.
the defensive side of things, I'm excited just to see what could potentially happen with the new coaching staff and the new players and the transfers, and some of those transfers being familiar with this new coach. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on, and we don't want to ever get false hope of anything. But as a fan, man, I think you got to get excited, and I know how to go. We'll get excited when football season gets real close.
Yeah. One
I
hundred
know so.
percent.
So I mean, I know we still got some time, but like you said, it goes by so quick, man. It'll be here before we know it.
Yep. Yeah, you're right, man, and I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. Speaking of the defense, like you said, it was terrible last year. We didn't beat a ranked opponent last year.
Yeah,
We lost a lot of home games. Tennessee, even if we're not the best team, we do at least take pride in winning home games.
yeah,
Didn't even do that last year. Didn't even beat an opponent with a winning record last year. So,
yeah. I think we were technically corrected on that by the end of the season. ETSU did have a winning record, so that was our one team
okay,
that had a winning
okay,
record. And I know no hate to ETSU, but obviously much smaller division in school, so we're not going to count
yeah,
that as our winning record team. But technically, that was a team that we beat that had a winning record at the end of the season.
true, true, true. That I mean that is a fact. So,
Mhm.
but aside from that, didn't win any big time matchups.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as now we did obviously beat Florida in the swamp for the first time in so many years. That
that's
was
the highlight of the
probably,
season.
yeah, that's the highlight of the season. You're exactly right,
Yeah,
Mike. You're exactly right. So taking that information and kind of just erasing it from your memory is what this team has to do. You've got a
yeah,
new defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles. Um, you know, Tim Banks did what he did. it is what it is. I mean, we had moments where we looked really good on defense, but it was never consistent enough to take our team to the next level.
Yeah,
So obviously, Josh Heupel makes the decision to get rid of Tim Banks and move on. Picking up Jim Knowles, obviously he's bringing in transfers with him. He's implementing his own scheme. Um, the defense just needs to improve, Mike. And like you said when you were talking about it, there's so much room for improvement that I don't think there's even enough room to get worse. I mean, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It can't get too much worse.
yeah.
If
There's
it
not a
does,
lot.
if it does, we're in trouble. You know?
Right. Yeah, you're talking. I mean, when at that point, like you said, there's so much room for improvement that if it does get worse, it ain't going to be a lot because there wasn't much room to get
Right,
that much worse. So
right. Now, I will say one statement in regards to that statement is as Tennessee fans, we do need to be a little patient with Jim
yeah,
Knowles taking over the defense because
hmm
all of the stuff that I was reading and looking into at the time of the firing of Tim Banks and the hiring of Jim Knowles was Jim Knowles' defense was very complicated, sometimes difficult for players to learn.
yeah,
It is on a good note, on a positive note, it is very difficult for quarterbacks to read, but it is also very difficult for players to learn. So if you don't see that instant success next season or even early in the season, Tennessee fans, let's please just take a deep breath,
yeah,
be a little bit patient with the guy. I don't want to watch week one, and even if we win or lose, you know, we should win week one, but even if our defense doesn't look the greatest, I don't want to get on message boards or comments or anything like that and see Tennessee fans saying we need to fire Jim
yeah,
Knowles. You know what I'm saying? Because it will
yeah,
happen. I know how we are as a fan base,
yeah,
but if things start to get a little sideways early in the season, I don't want us jumping to conclusions. I want us to be a positive fan base this year. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. You're not going
Or
to have
try
a
to be.
most likely not going to have a championship caliber defense in year one of him being there. So
Right, right,
that
right.
would be super impressive if that happens. So
Oh yeah, and I hope it does happen.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
but it's obvious, Mike, that our team as a whole needs to have a bounce back season, and I don't know how realistic that is. Obviously, in the last episode of the podcast, we talked about um, Vegas's early preseason prediction of our record being at seven and a
Yeah,
half wins. That's not really acceptable in my opinion, but it does kind of feel like it has that vibe of
yeah,
7 wins, especially when you look at our daunting schedule. But this
yeah,
does need to be the bounce back season. I mean, we need to get some top 25 wins. We need to strengthen up that home game play and kind of solidify Neyland Stadium as a place
yeah,
that no one wants to come to. You never want to lose that image at your home field.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think because even if this team went 8-4, or especially like even 9-3, but they got some ranked wins in there, some big time wins,
Yep.
some like hard fought battles, and we're last year it wasn't like we were destroyed in most of the games we played in. So, but if that
Right.
happened this year and we had that record with the schedule we have, but came out with some big time wins, I think that's a little more forgiving on an 8-4 record than last year's 8-4, um,
Yep.
based off of who we lost to and how.
Yep.
That more so not even who we lost to, just who we didn't beat. Like somehow if that makes sense, because we couldn't get those big signature wins and at home wins.
Right.
Um, so nobody's going to knock them if they lose in Alabama, or if Alabama I guess will be at home this year,
Yep.
right? Is it home this year?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I mean, no one's going to even that going to knock them there. Losing in some tough environments or something. But I'd like to see some harder fought battles at home and get some
Yep.
good wins in there.
Yep. Yeah. You want quality wins. I mean,
Yeah,
Jo- since Josh Heupel's, he does have quality wins under his belt, but he also has head scratching losses as well.
yeah,
So it's definitely a bounce back type of season for Tennessee. There's like a little note here about Josh Heupel's thoughts on the team, and it says so far this year Heupel has praised the team's good effort and good energy on day one of spring practice and emphasized accountability in every rep under the new strength staff. That is something else that we haven't mentioned, Mike. A lot of people, and you saw it watching the games last year, man. Tennessee players falling out left and right, getting injured, so many
Yeah,
injuries. And I don't really know what you can attribute that to as far as just preparation or whatever. But Tennessee does have a new strength and conditioning coach
yeah,
for this year, Derek Owens. Oh, okay. So I did not know this, and my apologies. Maybe I should have, but Derek Owens hired from the national championship Indiana team. I
fair.
did not know that. I knew his name and I knew
Yeah.
we got him, but I
Just
didn't know
know
where
who
he
it
came
was.
from.
That was a healthy team, so
100%. So, uh, Tennessee fans, you know just as well as I do, watching us play all season last year, and even really in the past, dropping like flies. That's what I say when I watch Tennessee play.
yeah,
Players start dropping like flies, man, and riddled with injuries all the time. So
yeah,
maybe this is something. Maybe this is something that we can get turned around with the new strength and conditioning coach.
yeah.
So yeah. And also, Josh Heupel noted the challenge of integrating so many new players quickly while maintaining volunteer standards.
Mm,
Obviously, it's probably eye-opening for new players to come into Tennessee, especially if you're on
yeah,
defense and you're scrimmaging and practicing against that high-paced, fast-paced
yeah,
offense. Man,
sure.
I don't know how some of those guys do it, man. The offensive linemen, think about how good a shape they have to be in, dude. Constantly snapping the ball, running the ball, limited
Oh yeah,
possessions. Crazy.
yeah, for sure, man. They definitely got to take this time to get in shape if they're not in that shape because they're gonna they play fast. So
Right. But as far as spring practice goes, Mike, that's really all I got.
yeah, same.
Like we said, when spring practice rolls around, that's just one step closer to the product that we're looking for, that regular season, the actual opening day of college football, and we're all looking forward to it for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, but something interesting, Mike, that you and I also witnessed, aside from players and how they look and all of that, when we were watching the videos um, of spring practice, what little videos there are, um, we noticed something odd, and we quickly looked into it and got the answer, and it completely makes sense. But when we were watching it, couldn't help but notice. And Tennessee's basketball team also is affected by this. Well, all sports are really. But we noticed that the players and the coaching staff and everyone was still decked out head to toe in Nike apparel.
Yeah,
And it really confused us, to be honest with you, for a little bit because we just really weren't privy to the full details of the situation. But
yeah.
apparently that contract is still going, right, Mike?
Yes, yeah. So, like, I was the same boat with you. We were kind of wondering at first, and I remember saying there has to be something. That, we've all heard with Adidas taking over, so everybody's just got that on their mind that we'd be just in Adidas stuff going into the new season because we
Right,
will go into the new season, but the Nike contract doesn't end until June the 30th. Um,
right.
so as of right now, we're definitely gonna see them in Nike apparel. Same for basketball team during the March Madness tournament. We'll see them in that as well, and that's why. And
Yep.
once they switch over there, obviously we'll just see them in Nike or Adidas um, once that contract's actually up. Still definitely want to keep looking into that, man, because I'm really I'm really interested to see how that's gonna look. The Adidas look. I would imagine Adidas wants to come in with something big if after getting the contract back and now switching back over to them, you're gonna have some expectations on your shoulder, have to have some cool jerseys out, have a good refreshed kind of look, and I don't know, man. What do you think? You think it's going to be for the better? You think it's going to be you're going to be missing Nike on this?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. It really doesn't matter to me,
Hmm.
one way or the other. to be quite honest with you. Now, I will be the first to admit that when Tennessee originally signed that Nike contract, I did get a little bit excited about it simply just because as far as shoes and things of that nature,
Yeah,
I have always been a Nike guy. I think we actually talked about this when the news first broke about the Adidas situation.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, when I found out my favorite college football team was going to be a Nike school, yeah, I got a little bit of excited. I have obviously purchased items, jerseys, shoes, hoodies, etc.
yeah,
But really, my allegiance really isn't that deep. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
got you.
to me, whatever the school, whatever makes the most sense for the school, it's obviously a money thing. I mean,
Yeah,
from my understanding, I don't know the numbers as far as money goes, but Tennessee did ink a 10-year deal with Adidas, and Adidas came out and basically said that they were going to hold Tennessee as like one of the top schools under Adidas contracts. Kind of be like that face of Adidas college
yeah,
football or college athletics. So that's comforting to know. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, to me, as long as the jerseys look good, I would like to see a little switch up with some of the jerseys because something that I've noticed about Nike, even kind of bleeding over into the NBA and bleeding over into the NFL, a lot of Nike's jerseys look a little bit too minimalistic for me. They look a little bit too generic for me.
yeah,
So I would like to see this new regime under Adidas kind of do something a little bit not necessarily outside the box, but just do something a little bit more exciting. Hopefully, the Adidas apparel for the fans and things like that will be a little bit cheaper because, Mike, you
yeah,
and I both know, man, those $120 hoodies for Nike and those
yeah,
$150 Nike polos. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, no, even if you can afford it, who really wants to pay that much for something like
yeah.
that? You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah, man. There's
I,
definitely
I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a good thing, though, man.
yeah, the gears definitely got expensive in the years, and I'm sure it'll still be fairly expensive. But I think it's just a refreshing of it. Like you said, I'm not really man. I got a literally right now out there. I got a pair of Nike shoes and a pair of Adidas shoes sitting right next to each other, and I wear both of them. So I've always been someone I like both. I've always wore Nike and I've always wore Adidas. And
Right.
so I don't know that I have really a real preference, man. Which I'm also kind of a person to just look at clothes, and if it looks cool, it's something I like. I
Right.
also I roll with it, So, um, but but yeah, I think it's just something refreshing. I think every now and then, man, it's good to go through those changes, see if you get the new concepts of jerseys and the stuff that come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully, when the don't have like the worst jerseys in college football all of a sudden or something, like that. So change
That would
the,
be terrible.
keep the shade of orange we got though. You got to keep Tennessee orange. Don't mess up the Tennessee
Yes.
orange. That's the only thing you got
Yes.
to do. You got to keep
Yes.
that correct Tennessee orange, and you know, and for me, the blackout uniforms have become a staple around Halloween time. I like
Right.
those, and the smoky grays. You got to have
Yep.
smoky gray uniforms
Yep.
now as an alternate for me. Um, and as long as I'm cool with the different designs within those, like how those kind of look and stuff. And
Right.
and they got and Adidas will have their hands full with that. And those blackout ones, Nike hit that pretty good, man. And even the
Oh yeah.
smoky gray. So
Yep.
I'll hold that to a high standard because that's two of my favorite,
Yep.
alternate uniforms there. I would say smoky gray is probably my favorite of all of them. I just me personally, I love the smoky gray color. Um,
Yep.
and even I love Tennessee orange, man. Don't get me wrong, and I like to see some Tennessee orange in the smoky gray, and that orange and white is always a classic staple for uniforms. But I I do like the look of that smoky gray uniform, man. It probably would be my favorite if I had to pick one.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I love them. I love them, especially this past year's Smoky Grays. I know there was a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of mixed reviews. There was a lot of mixed reviews
there
on them, but
was.
man, I thought they looked so good.
Yeah,
So
I
good.
did too. I liked them a
Um,
lot.
I think a fair question to ask, and you and I actually talked about this in person together, Mike. And it's something that you never really hear about, man. And it's just imagine, okay, across all sports. I mean, we're talking baseball, basketball, softball, women's basketball. I mean, you name it, soccer,
Yeah.
everything. Every single sport at the University of Tennessee is sponsored by Nike. And I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking coaches, training staffs, everything. Every single person on every single one of those teams and staffs is wearing Nike apparel head to toe. I mean, you see them on the
Yeah.
sidelines; they're decked out completely head to toe. When a team makes the transition from one brand to another, and I didn't even mention shops and stuff with fan apparel that you can go in and buy as a normal person. When
Yeah.
a team makes the transition from one brand to another, Mike, these schools are faced with an absolute mind blowing task of getting rid of the old and bringing in the new. You have to,
Yeah.
as a program and as a university, within the
Yeah.
contract, you can't you once this Adidas deal starts, man. There's not going to be a single soul wearing anything Nike on the field in camera view anywhere.
Yeah.
So nobody ever really talks about it, and you don't hear too much about it, Mike. But when a school, like I said, when a school makes that transition, what happens to all of that backstock? What happens to all of
Yeah.
that stuff that the school has? I mean, you could just imagine probably just rooms and rooms and rooms full of boxes upon boxes of shoes,
Oh
cleats,
yeah.
hoodies,
Stuff like
shirts,
that.
pants. We actually talked about this a little bit, Michael. We ended up looking into it. Um, basically, Tennessee hasn't publicly detailed exactly what will happen with all the remaining Nike apparel and equipment when they switch to Adidas.
Yeah.
But typically, under these types of situations, teams will obviously discount items. Like, you go to Fanatics, you go to Nike.com, you
Yeah.
go to the Vol shop. You know, schools will heavily discount for the fans these items. So I think you and I even read that certain websites right now and even leading up to closer to the date of the switch are going to be having major deals, 20% off,
Yeah.
50% off, 60%, things of that nature. Um,
Yeah.
when it comes to like equipment and bags and jerseys and things of that nature, most game worn jerseys are already kept as memorabilia, given to players, archived by the athletic department. Uh, Basically, just given to players as like mementos. Basically, donated to local
Yeah.
schools, youth programs, charities. Sold at discounted rates to team stores before the switch. This is bigger than people realize. I mean, you don't really think about it as a fan, but it's a major situation that
Yeah.
has to happen.
Yeah. And as a fan, I guess because we don't care if we're wearing Adidas or Nike to the game, so as a fan,
Right.
it could be a good opportunity to get some good Tennessee Nike gear coming up here in the
No
next several
doubt.
months. So keep a lookout on
No
themselves,
doubt.
I guess, because like you said, they got to get rid of it. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of sales going on. And yeah, if I can get me a real nice Nike hoodie or Nike shirt or something that's Tennessee, man, and I'd wear it proudly to the games. So, I don't
Yeah,
have a
100%.
contract. So, yeah, if you catch a deal there, you could, wished I did. I would happily wear Adidas for the next 10 years for Tennessee if, I get a paid contract out of it, then send me some even some free Tennessee merch each year. I'll take that. But it's, um, I like I said, as fans, we're just as long as it looks cool in Tennessee orange. I don't think we care whether it's Adidas or Nike. There may be some, but I don't.
Right.
I'll be wearing either one. So, in fact, I got an
Yeah.
old Adidas Tennessee shirt, like kind of a pullover, um, at and on it was like at an antique store, man. But it was in great condition, and
Yeah.
it looked really cool, and so I bought it. And this is during the midst of all being with Nike and everything. So as
Oh yeah, yeah.
long as it looks
Well,
cool,
I mean, as long as, like you said, as long as the shade of orange stays the same,
Yep.
they implement that. They implement the black jerseys and the smoky gray jerseys, which they will.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
those have become too popular amongst the fans and the players.
Yeah.
As long as Adidas does that and they put out some good looking stuff,
Yeah.
um, honestly, who cares if there's three stripes or a
Yeah.
check on it? You know what I mean? Um,
Right. And whoever does their
but
editing for videos will be able to make it look good regardless, it seems like. So people will put out some crazy stuff, man.
oh
Kudos to
yeah,
them.
without question, man. Without question. So, Adidas will supply all new uniforms, sideline apparel, practice gear, and footwear starting July 1st. That's technically when the Nike contract ends and the Adidas deal starts. Something cool to note here, Mike. Tennessee, the school, the athletic program,
Mhm.
will still control uniform design. So Adidas really isn't going to have their hand in the uniform design per se,
Yeah.
primary driver for uniform design. So expect new looks with Tennessee's input. So yeah, there you have it, man. Big news, and obviously as it gets a little bit closer to the date, I'm sure there's going to be some photos that start leaking. I'm sure that
Yeah.
at some point during this off season, before the season starts, we're going to have images of what
Oh yeah.
Tennessee's new uniforms are going to look like, and that's always exciting, man.
Yeah.
Always exciting.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, definitely looking forward to it and see how it's gonna look. A lot of new stuff happening this year for Tennessee, man. A lot of new stuff.
Yeah. New players, new coaching staffs, minus Heupel. Don't take that out of context.
Yeah.
New apparel sponsor, everything like
Yeah.
that. So, um, we're gonna keep everybody informed. If you're
Yeah.
still with us, please share, like, subscribe.
Yeah.
Um, we don't expect too much during the off season because there is a dip in viewers
Mhm.
for college football content at the moment, especially at the peak of the tournament. But
Yeah.
as the season starts rolling in, we're going to be bringing you all the latest Tennessee talk, big
Yeah.
time college football talk. So if everybody's still with us this far and you tune in every week, thank you so much, and just spread the word. Mike,
Yeah.
you got
Absolutely.
anything for the people, man?
No, I mean, and I know we didn't mention really anything on the March Madness. We post every Tuesday, so you know how these games go, man. They play games like crazy once March Madness starts. I
Right,
do think, we'll mention something for sure about it may even be how Tennessee does if they're still in the tournament for our next go around of recording. We'll
right.
obviously we'll mention something about it. We're watching it, so I've been we just did our first little uh, collab with Binge Points. So it's those guys are cool, man. They got the basketball locked down on stuff, and but we definitely
Oh yeah.
so we just spent a little time on their podcast talking with them. So definitely check that out if you get a chance. And yeah, we'll still have some talk going on that as well. Just because it's a big thing, like
Oh yeah.
people that don't even watch college basketball a lot of times will or don't watch basketball in general, they'll tune in on March Madness and fill out their
Yep.
brackets and everything. And I did fill one out. Let you know how I did when as this thing kind of goes. I already got a couple.
Yeah.
I already got a couple busts on it, man. Already. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure. I'm sure
Same
plenty
here.
of us do. Happens every year. So, but no. Thanks everybody. That does watch, and just make sure to like and subscribe.
Yep. Yep. Like and subscribe, Mike. Take care, brother.
All right, man. I'll see you, Adam.